Friends, if you're a fan of the Avatar universe and excited to dive into the latest chapter, Avatar, Fire and Ash 2025, then this video is for you. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future updates. Today we're diving into the thrilling world of Avatar, Fire and Ash, a movie that's about to take the excitement of Pandora to a whole new level. We'll explore everything from where you can watch it to all the intriguing details about the film. I'll be giving you the lowdown on the OTT platforms or satellite channels where you can stream it, along with a sneak peek into the technical and music departments. Plus, we'll talk about the pre-production, filming, post-production process, and all the juicy behind-the-scenes facts. Of course, we can't forget about the budget and box office collection. We're covering it all. I'll also give you a brief yet captivating review of the movie's storyline, break down the plot, and discuss the amazing star cast, their performances, and the characters they portray. It's going to be an exciting ride, so make sure you stick with me till the end. Let's get started with everything you need to know about Avatar, Fire and Ash 2025. Alright, let's dive deep into the fascinating world of Avatar, Fire and Ash 2025, and see how the story unfolds, shall we? The movie starts with an almost tranquil sense of familiarity for fans of Pandora, the lush, vibrant landscapes, the distant echoes of the creatures, and the ever-present threat of human interference. But hold on tight, because this is not your typical Avatar story. From the very first moment, the narrative refuses to play it safe. It doesn't follow the conventional beginning, middle, and end structure. Instead, it introduces us to multiple timelines, weaving together past and present in a way that keeps you on the edge of your seat. The film kicks off with flashbacks to ancient times, centuries before Jake Sully's rise to prominence. We get a glimpse into the history of Pandora's first inhabitants, the tribes that lived in harmony with the land before the current struggles. These sequences are beautifully shot, giving a sense of depth to the mythology of Pandora. But here's the twist. The movie doesn't stay in the past for long. Suddenly, we're yanked back to the present-day events, where the stakes have been raised. This is where things get interesting. The primary conflict revolves around an emerging threat that's more dangerous than anything Pandora has faced before. A new faction, one that's not just looking to exploit the planet's resources, but rather seeking to control and manipulate the very elements of nature, especially fire and ash, hence the title. These mysterious adversaries are not like the humans we've encountered before. They come with a technology that seems to blend with Pandora's natural world in unsettling ways. A fusion of the old and new. Something that might feel familiar, but twisted in a way that sparks curiosity and fear. The turning points are fast and furious. One moment, it's a heart-pounding escape through dense forest as the characters narrowly avoid capture. The next, we're back in the past, learning key details about a forgotten alliance that could change the future of Pandora. The use of nonlinear storytelling adds to the intrigue. You don't just see one character's journey, you see many, and they're all intertwined in ways that slowly reveal their connection to the greater narrative. It's like piecing together a giant puzzle where the pieces keep changing shape. Throughout the story, there's an emotional tug-of-war. The characters' personal stakes are high, from dealing with old wounds, to finding redemption, to learning to trust again in a world that's becoming increasingly hostile. The narrative constantly shifts between these emotional moments and grand-scale action, keeping the audience engaged in both the internal and external conflicts. What makes this even more interesting is the way the film delves into themes of survival, identity, and belonging. It's not just about saving Pandora, it's about figuring out who you are in the face of overwhelming odds. There's also a deeper philosophical undertone at play. The film asks questions about nature versus technology, balance versus chaos. How do you preserve a world that's on the brink of destruction without losing yourself in the process? These themes evolve as the characters confront not only their physical challenges, but also their internal battles. And then, there's the final act, a climatic sequence that ties together the multiple threads of the story. Just when you think you have a handle on what's going to happen, the film throws in a twist that completely shifts the trajectory of the narrative. It's a game changer that redefines what we thought we knew about Pandora, leaving us with more questions than answers. The nonlinear approach is so much more than a stylistic choice. It serves to intensify the emotional highs and lows of the characters. Each timeline adds another layer to the puzzle, forcing us to question the nature of memory, time, and fate. It's not just about what happens to the characters, but about how everything is connected and how the past, present, and future are all part of a bigger story unfolding in real time. And trust me, you won't want to blink during the final scenes, as the narrative takes a turn you never saw coming. It leaves you not only thinking about what happened, but also pondering the implications for the future of Pandora. Is this the beginning of something new, or the end of everything we've known? So there you have it, a tale of fire, ash, ancient secrets, and cutting-edge technology. Avatar, Fire and Ash 2025 isn't just another sequel. It's a complex, beautifully crafted story that challenges conventions and keeps you guessing every step of the way. Get ready to dive into a world that's as mysterious and awe-inspiring as Pandora itself. Let's talk about the characters in Avatar, Fire and Ash 2025, because, wow, these characters are far more than just your typical action heroes or villains. We're talking about multidimensional personalities that evolve, struggle, and grow in ways that make you care deeply about them. From the first scene, it's clear that these characters aren't just here to fill a role in the plot. They're driving the narrative forward with their complex motivations, deep-seated fears, and powerful relationships. Take the protagonist, for example. At first glance, you might think they're just another warrior-type character fighting for survival. But as the story unfolds, you realize there's much more beneath the surface. This character is haunted by the past, struggling with the weight of their decisions, and grappling with the fact that their purpose isn't as clear as it once was. This inner turmoil is what makes them relatable. They're not just fighting for Pandora's survival, but for their own redemption. As the narrative pushes them into increasingly difficult situations, their growth is palpable. Every decision they make is colored by the lessons they've learned or failed to learn along the way. And by the end, they've become a completely different person, someone who understands that real strength comes from within, not just from physical power. Now, let's talk about the antagonist, because Avatar, Fire and Ash pulls off something pretty remarkable here. The villain is not just some faceless evil force. They're someone with their own motivations and a backstory that makes you question your assumptions about what's good and evil. This antagonist isn't just looking to conquer or destroy. They have a vision for Pandora, albeit a twisted one. They truly believe that their actions are justified, which makes them both terrifying and fascinating. What makes the villain's development so compelling is that they don't start out as purely evil. Their path to darkness is gradual, a series of choices that become more desperate and distorted over time. Watching this transformation unfold, you can almost sympathize with them. Almost, but not quite. The side characters, too, are integral to the story. The relationships between them and the main characters add depth and emotional weight to the film. Take, for instance, the ally who starts out as a reluctant companion. They're cynical, distrustful, and only in it for their own gain. But as the story progresses, they develop a bond with the protagonist that challenges their worldview and forces them to confront their own past. This relationship is key to the movie. It's not just about saving Pandora or fighting an external enemy. It's about the internal battles that each character must face and the way they learn to trust each other and themselves. This journey is one of the most satisfying arcs in the film, as you watch them shed their armor, both literally and figuratively, and evolve into someone you genuinely root for. There's also a beautiful moment where a mentor figure plays a crucial role in the protagonist's growth. This character's wisdom and experience provide critical lessons that steer the protagonist in the right direction. But here's the twist: the mentor isn't always right. They, too, have their flaws and moments of doubt, which only humanizes them and adds another layer to their relationship with the main character. It's this back and forth dynamic of teaching and learning, of giving and taking, that really elevates the emotional stakes. And let's not forget about the quieter characters, the ones who aren't always at the forefront of the action, but whose growth is just as significant. These are the characters who undergo subtle but important transformations that mirror the larger themes of the story. There's one character, for example, who begins the film as an outsider, unsure of their place in the world. Over the course of the movie, they come to realize that their true strength lies not in fighting, but in understanding and connecting with Pandora's natural world. This character's arc is a quiet yet powerful reminder that heroism can take many forms. The relationships between characters also play a huge role in how the story unfolds. Whether it's the tension between the protagonist and their rival, the camaraderie that grows between the main characters as they face challenges together, or the emotional stakes involved in saving Pandora, these connections keep the narrative grounded. The dialogue between characters is sharp, sometimes playful, sometimes tense, but always meaningful. Every interaction reveals something new about their personalities, their values, and their struggles. The most intriguing part of the character development, though, is how these arcs shape the film's ultimate message. In Avatar, Fire and Ash, the personal growth of each character is not just about individual survival or victory. It's about coming to terms with who they are, what they stand for, and how their actions impact the world around them. By the end of the film, it's clear that the true battle is not just against external threats, but against the internal demons each character has been wrestling with throughout the story. In a movie filled with stunning visuals and high stakes, the character's growth is what truly pulls you in. It's what makes you care about the outcome long after the credits roll. These aren't just figures on screen. They're real people with real struggles, and by the end of Avatar, Fire and Ash, you'll feel like you've been on a transformative journey right alongside them. Let's talk about the performances in Avatar, Fire and Ash 2025, because this movie is practically bursting with talent. From the very first scene, it's clear that the actors are bringing something truly special to the table. These aren't just people playing roles, they're fully inhabiting their characters, making each moment feel raw and real. And while the stunning visuals and mind-blowing effects are undoubtedly a huge part of the film's success, the performances really make it all come to life. The lead actor, playing the protagonist, gives a performance that's nothing short of mesmerizing. You can feel every ounce of pain, hope, and determination in their eyes. Whether it's a moment of triumph or a quiet internal struggle, the actor manages to capture the complexity of their character with incredible depth. What really sets this performance apart, though, is the way they balance vulnerability with strength. There are scenes where you can see the cracks beneath the surface, the moments where the character is trying to hold it together, but you can tell they're fighting an inner battle. It's an emotionally charged performance, and it's this emotional authenticity that allows you to connect with the character on a deeper level. When they're facing the big external challenges, you feel like you're right there with them, rooting for their success and dreading their failure. And then there's the antagonist, the villain who steals every scene they're in. It's hard to call them a villain in the traditional sense, though, because the actor imbues the character with so much nuance and complexity. They don't just play the bad guy. They play someone who truly believes in their cause, someone whose actions are driven by a deep conviction. The performance is chilling because it's so believable. There's no mustache-twirling evil here. It's more of a quiet, unsettling force that grows stronger as the film progresses. The way the actor shifts from moments of calm reason to intense fury is masterful, and you find yourself both intrigued and terrified by their every move. Supporting characters bring their own unique energy to the film, elevating the emotional stakes. Take the mentor figure, for example. This actor's performance is filled with wisdom, but also with a sense of weariness. You can tell that they've seen too much of the world's darkness and are trying to guide the protagonist without losing their own sense of self. The chemistry between the mentor and the protagonist is electric, creating a powerful dynamic that drives much of the film's emotional weight. And while the mentor isn't always the loudest presence on screen, their quiet authority and subtle gestures speak volumes. It's a performance that quietly shapes the protagonist's journey, and without it, the film would lose much of its emotional depth. Then we have the side characters, who each bring their own flair to the story. The character who starts off as a reluctant ally really shines in moments of conflict. They have this fascinating arc, where they transition from being cynical and self-serving to a more emotionally open and compassionate individual. The actor does a fantastic job of portraying this internal struggle. You can see the doubt and reluctance in their face, and when they finally make the choice to stand by the protagonist, it's such a satisfying moment because the actor makes it feel earned, not forced. Another standout performance comes from a quieter character who undergoes a subtle but powerful transformation. This character's journey isn't about grand speeches or heroic action, it's more about self-discovery. And the actor's restraint in portraying this is brilliant. There's a lot of unspoken emotion in their performance, and even when they're not saying much, you can see the wheels turning in their head. It's a masterclass in the power of subtlety. Every tiny shift in expression or body language tells you exactly where the character is emotionally, and it makes their arc all the more impactful when they finally come into their own. What's impressive across the board is how the performances in Avatar, Fire and Ash work together to create a cohesive and believable world. There's a seamless connection between the leads and the supporting cast, and it's evident that everyone understands their role in this grand story. The relationships between the characters feel natural and earned, whether it's the crackling tension between the protagonist and their rival or the genuine camaraderie between unlikely allies. Every interaction is layered with subtext, making even the most seemingly mundane scenes feel important. One of the film's greatest strengths is its emotional range, and the actors are fully up to the task. You get moments of pure heart-pounding action, but it's the quiet, emotional exchanges that stay with you long after the movie ends. Whether it's a brief glance that speaks volumes or a heartfelt conversation that shifts the course of the narrative, these performances ground the fantastical elements of the story in a way that makes them feel real. The actors never let the scale of the film overshadow their characters' humanity. There's always an emotional core, no matter how wild the plot gets. In short, Avatar, Fire and Ash doesn't just rely on CGI and action sequences to tell its story. It's the actors' deep, compelling performances that really make this movie unforgettable. Whether it's the powerhouse leads or the quietly powerful supporting cast, each actor brings something unique to the table. Their ability to breathe life into these complex characters is what takes this film to the next level, creating an emotional experience that's as gripping as it is immersive. All right, let's talk about the director's role in shaping Avatar, Fire and Ash 2025, because honestly, this film is a masterclass in cinematic direction. From the very first frame, you can tell that the director has a deep understanding of both the world of Pandora and the emotional landscape of the characters. This isn't just a visually stunning movie. It's a carefully crafted experience where every shot, every sequence, and every subtle movement is purposefully designed to draw you deeper into the story. The tone of the film is something that really stands out. It's dark, but not in a brooding or oppressive way. The director skillfully weaves moments of tension and danger with fleeting glimpses of beauty and hope. It's this delicate balance that keeps you on your toes, never quite sure whether you're heading into a heart-racing action scene or a quiet, introspective moment. This tonal balance is key to the film's emotional depth. The director isn't afraid to slow things down, allowing space for the characters to breathe and for us to really feel their struggles. But just when you think you've settled into one rhythm, the film switches gears, taking you back into the thick of the action with intensity that almost knocks the wind out of you. Now, let's talk about stylistic choices, because the director takes full advantage of Pandora's rich visual potential. The way they handle the environments is absolutely mesmerizing. The jungle, the mountains, the oceans, they're not just backdrops. They're characters in their own right. The director uses long, sweeping shots to showcase the vastness of Pandora, creating a sense of wonder that feels both awe-inspiring and humbling. But these grand, expansive visuals are often juxtaposed with tight, intimate close-ups of the characters, allowing us to connect with their emotions in a raw, personal way. It's a contrast that makes the world feel alive and constantly shifting, and it's something that only a director with a true vision could pull off. The pacing of the film is another area where the director really shines. At first, you might think the story is going to follow the usual rhythm of fast action, followed by slower moments of character building. But Avatar, Fire and Ash defies those expectations. The director plays with pacing in a way that keeps you engaged and constantly on edge. There are moments where you feel like you're in a quiet lull, only to have the pace suddenly shift, throwing you into a chaotic battle or a revelation that completely changes your understanding of the story. This ebb and flow of tempo is crucial to keeping the film's energy high without losing the emotional core. It's not about relentless action or slow build-up. It's about finding the right moments to let the audience exhale, followed by the right moments to make their hearts race. Shot composition in this film is a true work of art. The director uses framing to highlight the emotional tension between characters, sometimes placing them in wide open spaces, other times closing in to create a sense of confinement or pressure. Every shot feels intentional, whether it's a dramatic reveal of an ancient ruin or a tense confrontation between two characters. One of the most interesting stylistic choices is how the director uses lighting. Shadows play a huge role in setting the mood. There's this constant interplay between light and darkness that reflects the inner conflicts of the characters. In one scene, the characters might be bathed in sunlight, symbolizing a moment of clarity or hope, and in the next, they're enveloped in shadows, reflecting their internal turmoil or the looming threat they face. But it's not just the big action scenes or visually striking moments that get the attention. The director gives careful thought to the quieter moments too, those subtle, almost unnoticeable interactions between characters that tell you everything you need to know without a single word being spoken. The way they let the camera linger just a moment longer on a character's face, capturing the fleeting expression of doubt or hope. It's this attention to detail that really elevates the film. The pacing slows, the focus tightens, and the tension builds not through grand gestures, but through small, intimate moments that hit you right in the chest. The narrative vision here is also worth noting. The director takes a very bold approach to the storytelling structure. Instead of following a straightforward, linear plot, Avatar, Fire and Ash weaves between past and present, offering glimpses into the history of Pandora that illuminate the characters' present-day struggles. This non-linear narrative approach could easily become confusing or disjointed, but the director handles it with such finesse that it feels completely natural. Each flashback, each reveal, is carefully timed to give you just enough information to keep you hooked without giving away too much too soon. The shifting timelines also mirror the protagonist's journey, highlighting how the past informs the present and how the choices we make shape the future. In terms of action, the director knows exactly how to build tension and deliver jaw-dropping sequences. But what really sets these scenes apart is how they're connected to the characters' emotional arcs. The action doesn't feel like it's there just to check a box. It's personal, driven by the stakes of the characters' journeys. Whether it's a chase through the jungle, a fight against impossible odds, or a moment of unexpected triumph, the action is always meaningful, enhancing the emotional investment rather than overshadowing it. All in all, the direction of Avatar, Fire and Ash feels like a masterstroke in filmmaking. The director's ability to balance tone, pacing, and visual storytelling creates a film that's not only exciting, but emotionally resonant. Every choice, from the shot composition to the pacing shifts, to the way the story unfolds, serves to pull you deeper into the world of Pandora and the lives of its characters. It's clear that this is a director with a vision, and they've executed it with such precision that it's impossible not to be swept away by the experience. When it comes to Avatar, Fire and Ash 2025, the cinematography is nothing short of breathtaking. The camera work here is more than just a tool to capture the action. It's an essential part of the story, drawing us deeper into the world of Pandora and intensifying the emotional experience. Each shot is crafted with care, using angles, lighting, and framing to heighten the mood, create tension, and bring beauty to every frame. Let's talk about the camera angles first. There's a dynamic, almost fluid movement to the camera that perfectly matches the world of Pandora. During moments of action, the camera dances around the characters, mimicking their movements and heightening the sense of urgency. Whether it's a fast-paced chase through the dense jungle or a daring escape from an enemy stronghold, the camera keeps you right there with the characters, making you feel every step, every jump, every narrow escape. But what's really impressive is how the director uses contrasting angles to highlight the emotional weight of certain scenes. In one particularly intense moment, the camera pulls back, creating a sense of distance between the character and the audience, as if to emphasize the isolation they're feeling. In contrast, during intimate moments, the camera closes in, capturing every tiny expression, every flicker of doubt or hope, allowing us to read the character's emotions without a word being spoken. Lighting plays a huge role in shaping the atmosphere of Avatar. Fire and ash. The way the natural world of Pandora is illuminated creates an ethereal quality, turning the landscape into something otherworldly and magical. Sunlight filters through the dense foliage, casting soft, dappled light across the characters as they move through the jungle. But it's not all soft and warm. The cinematography knows how to turn light into something far more sinister. In darker, more tense moments, the lighting becomes sharp, casting long shadows that stretch across the frame, signaling danger and uncertainty. The interplay of light and shadow is used masterfully to create both a sense of beauty and foreboding, often in the same shot. One moment you'll be staring at a glowing, bioluminescent plant in the middle of the night, its soft light illuminating the character's face with a sense of awe, and the next, the same plant's light will flicker as something ominous looms in the distance. The contrast between light and dark is not just a visual choice. It's a reflection of the character's internal struggles and the conflict between hope and despair that runs throughout the film. Framing, too, plays an essential role in how we experience the story. The vastness of Pandora is showcased in wide, sweeping shots that convey just how expansive and untamed the world is. These wide shots often have the characters placed in small, almost insignificant positions within the frame, emphasizing their struggle against the overwhelming forces of nature and the larger conflicts they face. But the cinematography doesn't stop there. During moments of heightened emotion or conflict, the framing tightens up, focusing on the characters in close-ups that allow us to connect with them on a visceral level. These close-ups are often set against the stunning backdrop of Pandora's landscapes, highlighting the contrast between the characters' personal battles and the vast, awe-inspiring world around them. This interplay between expansive shots and intimate close-ups creates a sense of scale that is both visual and emotional. There are moments in the film where the cinematography creates an atmosphere that lingers long after the scene ends. One standout sequence is a nighttime trek through the jungle. The camera moves with the characters, weaving through the dense foliage, while the lighting from bioluminescent plants bathes the scene in an eerie, dreamlike glow. The stillness of the jungle at night, combined with the soft, otherworldly lighting, creates a sense of both wonder and unease. The silence is broken only by the occasional rustle of leaves or distant animal call, making every step feel tense and deliberate. It's a perfect example of how the cinematography builds atmosphere, allowing the audience to feel as if they're part of this strange, beautiful, and dangerous world. Then there's the use of the camera to amplify the tension in the action scenes. In some of the film's most pulse-pounding moments, the camera moves at breakneck speed, almost as if it's in a race with the characters. You're thrown into the chaos of the moment, with quick cuts, shaky camera movements, and tight framing that force you to focus on the immediate danger. But the director is also careful to never lose sight of the emotional stakes. Even in the middle of a fight or chase, the camera never forgets to capture the character's emotions, the fear, the determination, the desperation. It's this ability to combine action with emotion that makes the cinematography so effective. Every sequence has both a physical and emotional intensity that pulls you in and doesn't let go. And let's not overlook the visually striking moments that stand out and stay with you. One such moment happens during a climactic scene set in an ancient, ruined temple. The camera slowly tracks across the crumbling architecture, revealing intricate details that suggest a once glorious civilization. The lighting in this sequence is particularly striking, with shafts of light cutting through cracks in the stone, casting dramatic beams that highlight the mystery and history of the place. It's a moment of awe as the camera lingers on the beauty and grandeur of the surroundings, giving the audience a sense of wonder before plunging into the action that follows. Ultimately, the cinematography in Avatar, Fire and Ash isn't just about creating beautiful images, though it certainly does that. It's about using the camera to tell a deeper story, to reflect the emotional journey of the characters, and to immerse us in the world of Pandora in a way that feels both intimate and expansive. Every frame is designed to enhance the atmosphere, whether it's evoking a sense of danger, beauty, or quiet reflection. It's the kind of cinematography that you don't just watch, you experience it, and it leaves you with an impression that lasts long after the credits roll. When you step into Avatar, Fire and Ash 2025, it doesn't just sweep you away visually. It grabs hold of your attention with its perfect pacing and seamless editing. From start to finish, the film's flow is incredibly well-tuned, with the editing making sure the story never loses its momentum or emotional punch. You'll find yourself leaning forward, eager to see what comes next. And that's a testament to how well the rhythm of the film is constructed. Right off the bat, the editing sets the tone. It's a careful balance between quick, punchy cuts and slower, more contemplative moments. The faster edits during action sequences are exhilarating, speeding things up just enough to get your heart racing without feeling frantic. The transitions are smooth, never jarring, and the edits flow naturally from one scene to the next. You're never left hanging, trying to catch up. There's a rhythm to it that lets you follow the action without feeling like the film is rushing you through it. But it's not just about the fast-paced action. The film knows when to slow things down. The more emotional, reflective moments are given room to breathe. In these quieter scenes, the editing becomes more measured, lingering on a character's expression or letting a moment play out without cutting away too quickly. It's almost as if the film is asking you to pause, to absorb the weight of what's happening, before plunging you back into the next wave of action or drama. This ebb and flow between fast and slow edits ensures that the pacing never feels like it's dragging. It keeps you engaged by constantly shifting gears, maintaining a sense of unpredictability while still feeling cohesive. Then there's the way the film uses transitions to keep everything connected. There are times when the story takes a step back to explore a character's backstory or delve deeper into Pandora's ancient history. Rather than using abrupt flashbacks or intrusive cuts, the editing seamlessly weaves these moments into the present-day narrative, creating a sense of continuity. You never feel like the story has been interrupted. It just flows into these new layers of the plot, like a natural extension of what you're already experiencing. Whether it's a subtle dissolve or a quick, almost imperceptible shift in color grading, the transitions are smooth, and they enhance the storytelling instead of disrupting it. The pacing of the film also plays a crucial role in its emotional impact. During the slower moments, when the stakes are personal and internal, the pacing gives you time to connect with the characters. You can feel the weight of their decisions, their losses, and their fears. The pauses between dialogue or action are like small breaths, allowing the audience to sit with the characters in their moments of vulnerability. It's a pacing choice that gives the emotional beats more punch, letting the audience absorb the significance of each moment before the action picks up again. This builds emotional investment. When things start moving fast again, the stakes feel higher because you've had those quiet moments to understand what the characters stand to lose. When the film kicks into high gear, the editing picks up the pace, pushing the action forward with a relentless sense of urgency. The cuts become quicker, the shots more fragmented, and the rhythm mirrors the chaos of the scenes. But even in these high-energy moments, the film doesn't lose its emotional focus. It's not just about spectacle. The editing ensures that every action has weight. The transitions between intense action sequences and quieter moments of introspection are handled with such finesse that you never feel whiplash from the shift in tone. The film knows exactly when to let go and when to rein it back in, creating a rhythm that enhances both the action and the emotional undercurrents of the story. However, there are moments when the pacing slows down just enough to let the tension simmer. These are the times when the film doesn't rush to give you the next plot point or action beat. Instead, it lets the characters sit with their doubts, fears, or desires. It's a clever way of building suspense without rushing toward the resolution. You can feel the anticipation build as the film allows you to linger in these moments, and when it's time for the tension to release, the payoff is all the more satisfying. These slower moments don't drag. They keep you hooked, and you're waiting for the inevitable shift that will pull you back into the action. In terms of emotional pacing, the film doesn't just rely on its faster scenes to keep you hooked. The slower, more intimate moments are just as crucial in holding your attention. There's a natural rhythm to the way these scenes unfold, the pauses between lines of dialogue, the careful buildup of tension in a conversation, or the quiet moments of reflection. It's in these spaces that the film allows the characters to truly grow, and the pacing reflects that growth. As the characters evolve, the pacing subtly shifts in response, mirroring their journey in a way that makes it feel both personal and universal. The editing also takes full advantage of the visual storytelling. There are moments when the film pulls back from the action to let you focus on the scenery, whether it's a vast, sweeping shot of the Pandora landscape or the quiet beauty of a natural wonder. These moments allow the pacing to slow down and let you appreciate the world of the film before diving back into the narrative. It's not just about moving the story forward. It's about giving the audience time to breathe and absorb the visuals, creating a deeper connection to the world and its characters. What really stands out, though, is the way the pacing is intricately tied to the emotional arc of the characters. As the stakes rise and the tension builds, the rhythm of the film picks up, mirroring the characters' own internal struggles. The editing makes sure that, whether the pace is fast or slow, the emotional beats are felt just as strongly. Each scene flows into the next with purpose, maintaining a consistent sense of urgency when needed, but never losing sight of the quieter, more poignant moments that make the film's emotional journey so powerful. In short, Avatar, Fire and Ash's editing and pacing create a flawless rhythm that never feels forced or uneven. It keeps you invested in both the action and the emotions, using transitions and timing to seamlessly draw you into the story without ever losing momentum. The film knows when to rush you through a moment and when to hold back, letting you linger in the quiet spaces where the real heart of the story lies. When it comes to Avatar, Fire and Ash 2025, the soundtrack and score aren't just an accompaniment to the visuals. They're a vital part of the experience, weaving through the story like an invisible thread, guiding your emotions and enhancing every scene. The music here does more than just fill the background. It's an essential storytelling tool, echoing the highs and lows of the characters' journeys and the world they inhabit. From the very first moments of the film, the score sets a tone that is both majestic and haunting. The music builds a sense of awe as we return to Pandora, its familiar sounds immediately evoking the lush, vibrant world we've come to love. But the score doesn't just rely on nostalgia. It also introduces new elements that reflect the darker, more complex themes of the film. The orchestration is rich, with sweeping strings, soaring brass, and haunting woodwinds that create a sense of grandeur. But just when you think you've got a handle on the score style, it shifts, introducing more experimental sounds that mirror the mysterious forces at play in the story. It's a score that keeps you on your toes, never quite settling into one mood. Much like the unpredictable world of Pandora itself. What really makes the soundtrack stand out, though, are the recurring motifs. There are certain musical themes that come and go throughout the film, subtly reflecting the emotional journey of the characters. A particular motif associated with the protagonist's struggle is used sparingly but effectively. It's a soft, melancholic melody that feels almost like a whisper, hinting at their internal conflict without overwhelming the scene. The moment you hear it, you know something important is happening on an emotional level, even if the visuals don't explicitly tell you. The motif slowly evolves over the course of the film, mirroring the character's growth and eventual resolution, until it crescendos in a powerful, triumphant moment that feels earned. Then there's the way the soundtrack plays with silence. In some of the film's most emotionally charged moments, the music falls away completely, leaving only the sounds of the environment, the wind rustling through the trees, the distant roar of a waterfall, or the subtle crunch of footsteps on the forest floor. It's in these moments of quiet that the film lets you fully feel the weight of what's happening. The absence of music creates a space for reflection, and you're left to sit with the characters in their most vulnerable moments. It's a stark contrast to the moments when the music swells, and it highlights just how important silence can be in amplifying emotion. As the film builds to its climactic moments, the score ramps up in intensity, pulling you deeper into the action. The music here isn't just an underscore for the visuals, it becomes part of the action itself, driving the narrative forward. The rhythms become more percussive, matching the quick cuts and frantic pace of the sequences. Yet, even in the most intense scenes, the score remains carefully measured. It never overpowers the action. Instead, it enhances it, becoming another layer of tension that keeps you on the edge of your seat. But it's not just about the grand moments. The music is just as effective in the smaller, quieter beats. During scenes of emotional reflection or subtle character moments, the score is more delicate, often using softer instrumentation or minimalistic arrangements to create an intimate atmosphere. A lone piano playing a simple, delicate tune during a moment of realization, or a sparse violin melody when a character faces a difficult choice, adds depth to the emotional layers of the film. The music here doesn't need to be loud or dramatic to make an impact. Its restraint in these moments speaks volumes. The blend of traditional orchestration with more modern, electronic elements is another brilliant touch. At times, the score incorporates subtle synth textures that give it a futuristic feel, nodding to the advanced technology and alien nature of Pandora. These electronic elements are woven into the orchestral arrangements, creating a soundscape that feels both timeless and contemporary. It's a seamless fusion that enhances the sense of immersion, pulling you deeper into the world of the film and the characters' struggle between the natural and the technological. What's particularly impressive is how the music aligns so perfectly with the narrative. The score never feels out of place or excessive. It's always in tune with what's happening on screen. In moments of awe and wonder, the music mirrors the grandeur of Pandora, making the audience feel the same sense of discovery and amazement that the characters experience. In moments of danger or conflict, the music shifts into something more aggressive, sharpening the tension and creating an immediate sense of urgency. The music knows when to pull back and when to explode, and it's that dynamic quality that keeps you emotionally invested throughout the entire film. But as much as the score plays a role in amplifying the emotional and narrative beats, it also knows when to step aside. There are scenes where the soundscape is stripped down to just the ambient noises of the environment, and these moments are just as powerful. The absence of music creates a sense of space and allows the story to breathe, making the eventual return of the score all the more impactful. Overall, the soundtrack and score of Avatar, Fire and Ash don't just serve as background noise, they are integral to the storytelling. The music enhances every aspect of the film, from the sweeping visuals to the quiet moments of introspection. It creates atmosphere, heightens tension, and most importantly, it connects the audience emotionally to the characters and the world they inhabit. The recurring motifs, the use of silence, and the balance between grandeur and intimacy all come together to make the score feel like a character in its own right, adding depth and dimension to the already rich narrative. Whether it's a swelling orchestral piece or a sparse, haunting melody, the music elevates the film to new heights, ensuring that every moment is felt deeply. Avatar, Fire and Ash dives deep into some powerful and thought-provoking themes that resonate long after the credits roll. The film isn't just a visual spectacle with aliens and high-tech gadgets. It's a rich exploration of the human experience, wrapped in the cloak of Pandora's lush, dangerous beauty. At its core, the film tackles ideas about environmental preservation, the clash between technological advancement and nature, and the personal cost of sacrifice. But it's not just about ticking off the usual boxes of environmentalism or war. It takes these themes to a deeper, more introspective place. One of the most prominent themes in Avatar, Fire and Ash, is the tension between progress and the preservation of natural worlds. Pandora, with all its beauty and wonder, is under threat once again. But this time, the struggle isn't just about protecting a physical space. The film asks bigger questions about what happens when technological advancement starts to outstrip our respect for the natural world. Are we truly evolving if we're destroying the very thing that sustains us? This conflict is brought to life not only through the humans and the Gnostics, but also through the choices characters must make between using technology for good or for exploitation. The filmmakers don't shy away from showing the consequences of ignoring the natural world's fragile balance. But it's not an overly preachy message. It's woven into the very fabric of the story, with characters having to face the fallout of their actions. You're left reflecting on how easy it is to lose sight of what's truly important when the allure of power and control takes over. Another layer the film explores is the idea of sacrifice and what it means to fight for a greater good. Avatar. Fire and Ash doesn't sugarcoat the cost of war, leadership, or even loyalty. Every character is asked to make difficult decisions that will change the course of their lives and the lives of those around them. Sacrifice is portrayed as an intensely personal journey, where the price of success can mean losing parts of yourself. The emotional weight of these decisions isn't lost on the audience, as the film shows that the road to victory is often paved with loss. Characters wrestle with what they're willing to give up for the greater good, and this theme strikes a chord because it's relatable. We all face moments in life where the choices we make affect more than just ourselves. But it's not just about the big picture. The film also zooms in on personal identity. Throughout Avatar, Fire and Ash, there's a quiet, simmering exploration of how identity is shaped by the world around us. The Nausicaa, once portrayed as a unified people with a shared purpose, are now fractured, struggling with their place in a rapidly changing world. The human characters, too, wrestle with their roles, not just in the conflict, but in their own lives. They must confront who they are beyond their affiliations, or their roles in the larger war. This thematic undercurrent flows through the film in a subtle but powerful way, urging the audience to think about how the choices we make can define us and how those choices ripple outward. The concept of home also plays a significant role in the film. It's a theme that feels deeply connected to the idea of belonging. For the Nausicaa, home is not just a place, it's an entire way of life, a deep connection to their environment. But as the forces of industrialization encroach, the idea of home becomes more complicated. What happens when your home is threatened by forces beyond your control? Is it worth fighting for? The film delves into the psychological and emotional aspects of what it means to protect something that's integral to your sense of self. For the humans, home isn't always a place of comfort or peace. It's a place they've had to rebuild or adapt to, and that process shapes their identities in unique ways. This theme of home isn't just about a physical location. It's about understanding who you are and where you come from, no matter how much the world changes around you. There's also a deeper message about the power of unity in the face of adversity. Avatar. Fire and Ash showcases the idea that when different cultures and factions come together, they are stronger than they are apart. But this unity is hard-won. It's not something that can simply be achieved through a handshake or an agreement. The film shows how understanding and empathy between different groups is crucial to overcoming division and working together for a common goal. The idea of cultural exchange, of learning from one another, runs throughout the narrative. And this theme is beautifully depicted as characters from opposing sides learn to listen, understand, and ultimately unite for a cause that transcends their individual differences. It's a powerful message in a world where division often feels insurmountable. And then, of course, there's the timeless theme of resilience. The characters, particularly the Nausicaa, demonstrate an incredible strength in the face of overwhelming odds. The film shows how resilience is not about being unbreakable, but about enduring and finding the will to fight, even when everything seems lost. Whether it's physical strength in battle or emotional strength in dealing with personal loss, the film portrays resilience as something that can be found in the most unexpected places. It's a message that resonates on a personal level, reminding the audience that even in our darkest moments, we have the ability to rise again. One of the more subtle but impactful themes is the idea of reconciliation with the past, with other cultures, and even with oneself. As the Nausicaa and the humans are forced to reckon with their shared history, the film explores what it takes to move beyond old wounds and find common ground. This theme of healing is reflected not only in the characters' actions, but also in the natural world around them. The idea that reconciliation is necessary for growth, both personally and collectively, is quietly profound and gives the film a sense of hope amidst the chaos. In sum, Avatar, Fire and Ash is not just an epic tale of adventure and conflict. It's a meditation on deeper themes that challenge the audience to reflect on their own lives. The film explores the consequences of human actions on the environment, the cost of sacrifice, the search for identity, the power of unity, and the resilience of the human and Nausicaa spirit. These themes are intricately woven into the narrative, never feeling heavy-handed or forced. Instead, They emerge organically through the characters' journeys, leaving you with ideas that linger long after the film ends. It's a film that asks big questions and leaves you thinking about the answers long after you've left the theater. In Avatar, Fire and Ash, the visual effects are nothing short of mesmerizing, pushing the boundaries of what we thought was possible on screen. Every single moment feels like it's been meticulously crafted, blurring the line between the real and the unreal. What sets this film apart from other visually stunning blockbusters is how seamlessly the CGI integrates into the world of Pandora, becoming an essential part of the storytelling rather than a flashy distraction. When the camera zooms in on the vibrant landscapes of Pandora, it's hard to tell where the CGI ends and the real-world elements begin. The digital effects don't just fill in the gaps, they feel like they are part of the very fabric of the world, designed with the same attention to detail as the physical sets. The alien flora and fauna that inhabit Pandora are rendered with a level of intricacy that makes you feel like you could reach out and touch them. The textures on the creatures' skins, the shimmering leaves in the wind, the distant mountains in the background, all these elements blend together so naturally that it's easy to forget you're watching a digital creation. The visual effects don't just serve to impress, they enhance the story and the immersion, pulling you deeper into Pandora's lush and dangerous world. It's as if the film's digital elements have a life of their own, existing as an extension of the natural beauty that's already present in the environment. Of course, no visual experience is perfect, and Avatar, Fire and Ash does have its moments where the CGI veers a little too far into the realm of surreal. There are moments, especially during action sequences, where the speed and intensity of the CGI can sometimes feel a little overwhelming, but it's always in service of the story. The fluidity and realism of the movements of Pandora's creatures, whether it's the large, lumbering beasts or the agile, sky-riding creatures, are so well executed that they feel alive. When a Nausicaa mounts one of these creatures and soars through the sky, you can almost feel the wind in your face, the textures of the beast's fur, and the vibrations of the air around them. It's not just spectacle for spectacle's sake. It's a breathtaking visual that enhances the thrill of the adventure. And then there's the action. From large-scale battles to intense, high-speed chases, the CGI is used to make you feel like you're right there in the heart of the action. The visual effects elevate these sequences, making the stakes feel much higher, the danger more immediate, and the scale truly epic. When giant machines clash with massive creatures, or the Nausicaa face off against technological forces, the intensity of the scene is amplified by the seamless integration of practical and digital effects. Explosions are stunning, but they're never over the top. Each blast, each ripple of energy, is carefully placed to not just shock the viewer, but to move the narrative forward. In terms of how practical and digital effects compare, it's clear that Avatar, Fire and Ash uses a masterful mix of both. The practical effects, especially in the character designs, are impressive. They ground the digital world in a sense of physical reality. The Nausicaa, for example, feel more like real creatures rather than just digital creations. You can see the wear and tear on their clothing, the dirt on their skin, and the sweat glistening under the harsh sun. These tactile details add a layer of realism that helps balance out the more fantastical digital elements. Then you have the motion capture work, which has become a hallmark of the Avatar franchise. The actors, both human and Nausicaa, are brought to life in such an authentic way that it feels like the digital effects are merely enhancing their performances, not replacing them. The emotions on the characters' faces, from joy to sorrow to anger, are conveyed with remarkable subtlety. Despite the fact that they're being played by digital avatars, there's no sense of artificiality here. Instead, the visual effects amplify the human qualities of the characters, making their journeys even more poignant. The way digital effects are used to show the natural world of Pandora is equally impressive. The forests, oceans, and skies are painted in vivid colors that don't just showcase the beauty of this alien planet. They add depth to the film's thematic exploration of nature versus technology. When characters interact with the environment, it feels like they're in tune with the land, as if every plant, every creature, and every gust of wind is alive and reactive. The digital effects make these interactions feel organic rather than forced. But perhaps the most impressive use of CGI is how it conveys the otherworldliness of Pandora. It's not just about making things look pretty, it's about creating a world that feels completely alien, yet familiar. The colors are more vibrant, the shapes more fluid, and the creatures more fantastical than anything we could imagine on Earth. The digital effects make Pandora feel like a living, breathing organism, with every part of the planet interacting with the others in harmony. It's a world that you want to explore, to get lost in, and the visual effects do an incredible job of drawing you in, making you believe that this place could really exist. In the end, the visual effects in Avatar, Fire and Ash don't just support the film, they elevate it. They take what could have been a simple action adventure and turn it into a fully immersive cinematic experience. The CGI doesn't distract from the story, it amplifies it, blending so seamlessly with the practical effects and performances that you're completely drawn into the world of Pandora. Whether it's the stunning landscapes, the lifelike creatures, or the high-octane action sequences, every visual element is designed to immerse you in this breathtaking world. The fusion of digital and practical effects here is not just a technical achievement, it's an artistic triumph, making Avatar, Fire and Ash one of the most visually captivating films in recent memory. In Avatar, Fire and Ash, the world building is an art form in itself. Every setting, every prop, and every location is crafted with such detail that it feels like you're stepping into a living, breathing world. The production design is not just about creating stunning backdrops. It's about immersing you so fully into the world of Pandora that you forget it's a fictional space altogether. Every element is designed with purpose, drawing you deeper into the narrative and enhancing the film's emotional and thematic resonance. Pandora, as we've seen before, is an enchanting but perilous world. But in Avatar, Fire and Ash, the settings are more varied and intricate, taking us beyond the familiar lush jungles. The filmmakers take us to new corners of the planet, with new biomes and environments that feel fresh yet undeniably Pandora. From the dense, bioluminescent forest to the jagged, mountainous regions that hide ancient secrets, every location feels alive with its own ecosystem and history. The sense of scale is awe-inspiring. When you look out across the vast alien landscapes, you feel the immensity of the world, a planet that stretches out forever with countless untold stories waiting to be discovered. The set design in this film doesn't just serve the plot. It's a reflection of the themes at the heart of the story. The decaying remnants of human technology clash with the untouched natural beauty of Pandora. Abandoned mining rigs and once imposing structures are now slowly being overtaken by the relentless growth of nature. The production team clearly has a keen eye for how these details play into the narrative. Each location tells a story of its own. A shattered building or a rusting machine speaks volumes about the world's past, where the exploitation of resources led to destruction. But it also highlights the resilience of nature as it reclaims what was once lost. The design is subtle but powerful, urging us to consider how technology and nature are constantly in a delicate dance of conflict and cooperation. In the human-built environments, the sets are stark and utilitarian, reflecting the often cold, impersonal nature of the human presence on Pandora. Whether it's the military outposts or the research facilities, these places are designed to feel functional rather than comfortable. Yet, there's a sense of contrast when you see the Nasics and their homes. The simplicity of their structures, crafted from the natural world around them, feels warm and intimate. Their dwellings, built from living trees and woven materials, contrast sharply with the harsh, mechanical world of the humans. This difference in design underscores the cultural divide between the two sides, one rooted in harmony with nature, the other in control and conquest. The locations themselves are crucial to the story. From the treacherous cliffs where pivotal battles take place to the hidden sanctuaries where the Nasics gather for moments of peace, each place feels essential to the unfolding narrative. The bioluminescent caves, for instance, aren't just visually stunning. They're places where critical emotional exchanges happen, where characters reflect on their past and future. The way the light flickers off the water and the shadows dance around the characters heightens the sense of mystery and wonder, making every moment feel magical and charged with significance. It's clear that these locations aren't just backdrops, They are integral to the characters' journeys. And then there's the stunning variety of natural landscapes that Pandora has to offer. The filmmakers don't just give us beautiful vistas, they make sure that each new location feels like an entirely different world. The jungles may be familiar to us, but the alien flora and fauna make them feel utterly unique. The underwater scenes where we dive into the ocean's depths reveal a whole new side of Pandora, teeming with marine life and ancient secrets. The visual richness of these locations not only expands the world, but also adds layers to the story. You get a sense that Pandora is not just a location, it's a living, breathing character in its own right, full of surprises and hidden truths. But the set design doesn't stop at the big, sprawling landscapes. It's also in the smaller, quieter details. The props, from the tools the characters use to the weapons they wield, are all carefully crafted to feel authentic to the world. The Gnostics' weapons, made from natural materials, feel as though they're an extension of the environment around them. Even the smallest props, like the intricate jewelry the Gnostics wear, add to the richness of the world, providing a glimpse into their culture and lifestyle. Every item has a purpose, whether it's to tell a character's backstory or to reinforce the larger themes of the film. There's nothing that feels out of place or overly artificial. It all feels natural, like it belongs. In the human settlements, the props and set designs speak to the relentless pursuit of control. The sterile, cold interiors of research labs and military stations show the practical, no-nonsense approach humans take to their work on Pandora. Yet, even in these harsh environments, there's an effort to adapt to the alien world around them. The mix of human technology and the occasional touch of local flora or fauna in these spaces is a subtle nod to the tension between the two cultures, highlighting the growing realization that humans can't completely dominate the planet they've come to exploit. The use of practical effects, like physical set construction, only enhances the realism of the world. When characters interact with their environment, climbing through the dense jungle, moving through intricate alien architectures, or even riding on the backs of the majestic flying creatures, it feels like the sets are part of the action. The physical props and locations blend seamlessly with the CGI to create a world that feels tangible and real. The attention to detail in the construction of the sets makes it all feel believable, no matter how fantastical the elements around it may be. Ultimately, the set design and locations in Avatar, Fire and Ash are more than just eye candy. They play a vital role in telling the story and adding emotional depth. The physical spaces are like silent characters themselves, speaking volumes about the cultural and environmental struggles at the heart of the film. They are essential to the world-building process, making the story feel lived in, lived through, and alive with possibility. Whether it's the natural beauty of Pandora or the stark, utilitarian human settlements, the settings and props help create a world that feels expansive, immersive, and rich with detail. One that pulls you into its depths and keeps you there. In Avatar, Fire and Ash, the dialogue is as immersive as the world itself. It's not just about characters speaking to each other. It's about the way their words echo the themes of the story and deepen their connections with each other and with Pandora. The script is an artful blend of emotion, wisdom, and sharp wit, with moments of tension and humor that hit just right, making the audience feel like they're right there in the middle of these extraordinary events. There are plenty of moments where the dialogue doesn't just serve the plot, but reveals something deeper about the characters. For instance, the Gnostics have their own rich vocabulary that doesn't just feel like a linguistic choice, but ties into their cultural identity. Their speech is poetic, rhythmic, and often reflective of their deep connection to nature. When they speak, it's like they're drawing on a centuries-old wisdom, and the words carry a weight of spiritual and philosophical meaning. These moments are like a breath of fresh air, and you can't help but be drawn into their worldview, where every word matters. It's not the fast-paced banter we're used to in a lot of blockbuster movies, but rather a slower, more deliberate pace that reflects the Gnostics' understanding of time, balance, and the interconnectedness of all things. Then you have the human characters, whose dialogue is often more direct and pragmatic, reflecting the sharp contrast between their world and that of the Gnostics. But even here, the writing doesn't shy away from emotional depth. There's a rawness in the way they express their frustrations, fears, and desires, especially when they start to realize the consequences of their actions on Pandora. Some of the most powerful lines come when these humans are grappling with their own moral dilemmas. The script takes the time to explore the internal struggles of these characters, and the dialogue becomes a window into their changing beliefs and values. Of course, no Avatar film would be complete without some standout lines that become etched in your memory long after the credits roll. The script in Fire and Ash delivers just that, lines that hit you hard, whether it's an impassioned speech about the sanctity of the planet or a quiet moment of reflection on the meaning of life. The writing is smart and emotionally resonant, with sharp one-liners and moments of levity that provide relief in between the film's more intense scenes. There's a particularly memorable exchange that occurs when two characters share a moment of understanding, a brief but powerful acknowledgement of their shared struggle. The simplicity of the line is what makes it so impactful. It's just two words, but they encapsulate everything these characters have been through together. The emotional weight of the dialogue doesn't come just from the intensity of the lines, but from the way the characters interact with one another. There are quiet, intimate moments where a single line can carry the weight of an entire arc. For instance, when a character speaks of their connection to Pandora or of a personal loss, it's never overdone, never melodramatic. It's just raw, real, and incredibly human. These moments are balanced by bursts of humor that prevent the dialogue from ever feeling too heavy or preachy. One of the most engaging aspects of the script is its ability to shift from moments of grave importance to witty exchanges that lighten the mood, adding layers to the characters and the relationships between them. The dialogue also does a fantastic job of balancing exposition with character development. There's a lot of world building in Avatar, Fire and Ash, and the script handles this delicate task with ease. Rather than feeling like the characters are simply explaining things for the audience's benefit, the exposition is woven into natural conversations. Characters discuss the threats they're facing, the consequences of human interference, and the deep connection to the planet in ways that don't feel forced, but instead add richness to the world and provide context to the ongoing conflict. This is crucial because it keeps the pacing steady, preventing any information dumps while still allowing the audience to grasp the complexities of the world they're entering. In the quieter, more reflective moments, the dialogue is often simple but profoundly effective. It's in these pauses where the script reveals its true strength. There's no need for bombastic speeches or over-the-top rhetoric. A few carefully chosen words are enough to convey the emotional turmoil or growth a character is experiencing. One of the most compelling moments comes when a character, standing alone in the wilderness, reflects on their role in the larger struggle, and the line is as poignant as it is straightforward. It's a single sentence, yet it encapsulates everything the character has been through and everything they still have to face. It's subtle, but it resonates deeply. There's also a certain rhythm to the dialogue that plays into the larger flow of the film. The script knows when to give space to a moment, letting the silence speak louder than words, and when to build up to a powerful, fast-paced exchange. In key moments when emotions are at their peak, the dialogue becomes rapid, almost frantic, mirroring the urgency and intensity of the situation. These exchanges feel natural, never forced, and they heighten the tension in ways that keep you on the edge of your seat. The humor in Avatar, Fire and Ash isn't overdone, but it's strategically placed to give the audience a breather between the high-stakes moments. The witty remarks, often delivered by side characters, break up the tension just enough to give you a moment to laugh before the next emotional roller coaster. These lighter moments add humanity to the film, making the stakes feel even higher because you care about these characters as people, not just as plot devices. In the end, the dialogue in Avatar, Fire and Ash is a perfect blend of emotion, philosophy, and cleverness. It's not just about delivering lines, it's about delivering lines that matter, lines that stay with you long after the movie ends. Whether it's a quiet moment of introspection or a line of bold defiance, the script is carefully constructed to ensure that every word carries weight and meaning. The dialogue isn't just a means to an end. It's a powerful tool that helps to shape the emotional and thematic core of the film. And as the story unfolds, you find yourself not just listening to the words, but feeling them, internalizing them, and carrying them with you. In Avatar, Fire and Ash, the film does an incredible job of both honoring and subverting genre conventions. As a sci-fi adventure film, it fits neatly into the mold of large-scale spectacle with high-stakes action, but it doesn't rest on those familiar tropes. Instead, it takes risks, offering fresh twists that keep the genre from feeling stale. It's a movie that not only gives you the breathtaking landscapes and heart-pounding action scenes you expect, but also invites you to ponder the deeper themes of humanity, ecology, and the nature of conflict. It's a genre film that feels both epic and intimate, balancing the grandiose with the personal in ways that don't always follow the traditional path. When it comes to action, Fire and Ash delivers, no doubt. The action sequences are thrilling, with massive set pieces that showcase the vastness of Pandora's wild landscapes and the terrifying scale of the new threats that loom over it. Whether it's an intense aerial chase across the alien skies or a chaotic ground battle filled with both human and Gnostics forces, the film delivers all the thrills you could hope for. But where it subverts genre expectations is in the emotional stakes that underpin the action. In so many action-packed films, the explosions and battles become the focus, with little attention paid to the emotional fallout. But in Fire and Ash, each fight feels tied to the characters' personal journeys. The action is always in service of the bigger emotional and thematic narrative, making it not just entertaining, but impactful. Then there's the suspense, which is handled beautifully throughout. Sci-fi thrillers often rely on building tension through mystery and the unknown, and Fire and Ash plays on this with some truly heart-stopping moments. The film introduces new creatures, environmental dangers, and technology that add layers of uncertainty and danger, but it never feels like it's just throwing things at the audience for shock value. Every suspenseful moment is meticulously crafted, and there's an incredible sense of pacing that makes you feel the danger without overwhelming you. The suspense doesn't just come from the external conflicts, either. It's the moral dilemmas the characters face, the creeping realization that something much larger is at play beneath the surface of Pandora's beauty, that keeps the tension high. The film also knows when to take its foot off the gas and offer moments of humor, which gives the audience a break from the more intense moments. These are often delivered through side characters who, while not central to the story, provide a sense of lightness that contrasts with the heavy themes of environmental destruction, colonialism, and cultural loss. It's not forced humor. There's a natural ease to it, with the characters bouncing off each other in a way that feels organic and uncontrived. These lighter moments offer relief, but they also serve a larger purpose. They allow you to connect more deeply with the characters, humanizing them before the next wave of intensity hits. In terms of drama, Fire and Ash doesn't shy away from the emotional complexity that comes with its genre. A lot of sci-fi films play with dramatic moments, but often fall into the trap of relying on spectacle over substance. This film avoids that pitfall by anchoring the drama in character-driven stories. You feel the weight of the choices characters make, especially when those choices are tied to Pandora's future or their own sense of identity. There are moments of intense personal conflict between the humans, between the Gnostics, and within individual characters that resonate long after the action has died down. It's a film that doesn't just want to dazzle you with visuals, it wants you to feel the emotional stakes of what's happening. And yet, despite all of the action, drama, and humor, the film never loses its sense of wonder. There's a consistent thread of discovery that runs through the film, keeping that sense of exploration alive. Sci-fi is all about the new, the strange, and the unexplored, and Fire and Ash continually delivers that sense of awe. It's a genre film that makes you fall in love with its world all over again. Whether you're watching the stunning creatures that inhabit Pandora or witnessing the unexpected twists in the story that take things in fresh directions. In terms of subverting genre conventions, Fire and Ash leans into the environmental and philosophical undercurrents of the Avatar franchise in a way that feels timely and thought-provoking. It's not just about fighting alien species or exploring new territories. The real heart of the film lies in the characters' relationships to each other, to Pandora, and to the legacy of what came before them. The narrative explores how humans have treated the planet, how the Gnostics have learned to live in harmony with it, and how both sides must now face the consequences of their actions. It's a sci-fi film with a message that goes beyond simple thrills and explores complex ideas about sustainability, respect, and coexistence. This is where the film both follows and subverts genre norms. On one hand, it delivers the spectacular action and futuristic tech we crave. But on the other, it asks us to think more deeply about the world around us and our role in it. As for cliches, Fire and Ash does a fantastic job of steering clear of them. Yes, there are familiar elements, humans and Gnostics clashing, epic battles and high-tech gadgets, but the film never falls into predictable traps. It mixes up the pacing and the stakes, introduces new challenges and perspectives, and explores its themes in ways that feel unique. For every trope it might touch on, there's a twist or a moment of complexity that makes you rethink it. Ultimately, the genre execution in Avatar, Fire and Ash is a masterclass in balancing expectations with innovation. It delivers everything fans of the genre want: a rich, visually stunning world, thrilling action, edge-of-your-seat suspense, and deep emotional drama. But it also pushes boundaries, offering a story that's thoughtful, original, and resonates with the times. It's a film that reminds us why we love genre movies in the first place, while also showing us something new and exciting. Avatar, Fire and Ash is much more than just a visually stunning sci-fi adventure. It's a film that uses its expansive world to make a pointed commentary on contemporary social and cultural issues, weaving them in so seamlessly that you might not even realize you're being challenged on deeper levels until after the credits roll. The themes of environmental destruction, colonialism, and cultural preservation are front and center, but they are explored with such nuance and care that they never feel heavy-handed. Instead of just presenting an issue, the film invites the audience to reflect, question, and most importantly, feel a sense of responsibility about the state of the world today. The most obvious and pervasive theme in Fire and Ash is the environment. This isn't the typical save the planet message that you've seen in countless other films, where the villain is just a generic corporate bad guy. Here, the narrative goes deeper, exploring the complex relationship between humans and nature and how that dynamic is shaped by greed, short-sightedness, and the desire for control. As the story unfolds, the film critiques the way we exploit natural resources without regard for the long-term consequences. It doesn't take a heavy-handed approach to this critique, but instead shows the devastating impact of human interference in Pandora's fragile ecosystem, reminding us of the real-world consequences of environmental destruction. The Gnostics, as always, serve as a stark contrast to the humans. Their culture is in harmony with their environment, and the film takes great care to show how their way of life is intricately tied to the land they inhabit. It's not just a matter of survival for them. It's a spiritual connection to the planet that defines who they are. This sets up an interesting dialogue between the two groups, where the human characters have to come to terms with their actions and the fact that their progress often comes at the expense of something far more sacred. There's a beautiful exploration of how technology and development can clash with cultural preservation and respect for the earth, which hits home in today's world, where similar struggles are playing out with indigenous communities and land rights. But what makes Fire and Ash even more impactful is how it handles these themes without making them feel forced. The characters don't stand on soapboxes delivering speeches about the importance of environmental stewardship or the danger of cultural erasure. Instead, the message is embedded within the story, and you feel the weight of it through their actions, their decisions, and the consequences they face. The film never lectures or moralizes. It simply shows the effects of greed and exploitation, and lets the audience make the connection to the real world. This makes the social commentary feel earned and genuine, rather than a clumsy add-on to an otherwise thrilling narrative. Colonialism is another theme that the film doesn't shy away from exploring. The human exploitation of Pandora and its resources mirrors real-world histories of colonial powers imposing their will on indigenous populations. Fire and Ash pushes this idea further by not only showing the destructive impact of these actions on the environment, but also on the people, the Gnostics. The film makes a powerful statement on how colonizers often view indigenous cultures as obstacles to progress, treating them as primitive or inferior while justifying their actions in the name of economic gain. However, the Gnostic strength lies in their culture, their ability to live in balance with their world, and their deep sense of community. This gives the film a sense of hope, suggesting that resilience, respect, and cultural preservation are just as powerful as the destructive forces of colonialism. The idea of cultural identity and preservation is also explored in a more personal way through the characters' journeys. The characters are all grappling with questions about their own place in the world, their legacies, and their responsibility to the planet. For instance, the humans involved in the conflict start to question their complicity in the exploitation of Pandora's resources and come to a deeper understanding of what they've lost in their pursuit of progress. This isn't a simple good versus evil dynamic. There's nuance here. The humans aren't portrayed as purely evil. Instead, they're shown as flawed individuals who are trying to reconcile their roles in an increasingly complex world. This makes the commentary on colonialism and environmental destruction even more powerful, because it's not just about the bad guys doing harm. It's about all of us and the consequences of our actions, whether intentional or not. The film also doesn't shy away from exploring issues of power, control, and the fight for autonomy. There are characters who struggle with the weight of authority, who question their decisions and motivations. The political landscape of Fire and Ash is filled with factions vying for control of Pandora's resources, and this mirrors the real-world struggles we see in terms of corporate greed, land ownership, and geopolitical power struggles. The way the film handles these issues feels timely and urgent, giving the audience something to think about long after the spectacle has faded. But perhaps the most powerful social commentary in Fire and Ash is the exploration of collective responsibility. The film underscores the idea that no one is truly an island, that the actions of one person, one group, or one nation can have far-reaching consequences. It's a call to action, not just for environmentalism, but for a more connected, empathetic world where people acknowledge their shared responsibility for the planet and each other. The Gnostics' connection to their land is a perfect counterpoint to human disconnect, showing that our fates are intertwined with the world we inhabit. The film also tackles the topic of technological progress and its ethical implications. In a world where technology can be used to destroy or save, Fire and Ash asks important questions about how we harness innovation. Are we using it to better our world, or are we simply exploiting it for our own gain? The movie doesn't provide easy answers, but it leaves the audience to think about the moral consequences of technological advancement. This isn't just about Pandora. It's about Earth and how we use the tools at our disposal. In all of this, Fire and Ash strikes a delicate balance. It doesn't bash you over the head with its commentary, but rather, it lets the themes unfold organically, allowing the audience to make their own connections. It's a film that uses its genre to explore real-world issues without ever feeling preachy. It's smart, engaging, and deeply relevant to the cultural conversations happening right now. And that's what makes its social and cultural commentary so effective. It's not just a part of the story, it's woven into the very fabric of the film, enhancing the overall experience without ever feeling forced. Avatar. Fire and Ash isn't just a film you watch, it's one you feel. It grabs you from the start, pulls you deep into the world of Pandora, and never lets go. The emotional resonance is immediate and powerful, and that's what makes it so engaging for the audience. The film is full of moments that will make you laugh, cry, cheer, and even sit at the edge of your seat in shock. Whether it's the grand spectacle of the action scenes or the quieter, more intimate character moments, Fire and Ash knows exactly how to tap into the emotional core of its viewers. Let's talk about laughter for a second. The film doesn't just rely on intense drama or action to keep things exciting. It also knows when to inject a bit of humor, and when it does, it's timed perfectly. There's a lightness in the dialogue that feels natural, like the characters are letting their guard down for a brief moment. These moments don't undermine the seriousness of the story, but offer a break from the intensity. Whether it's a quick witty line or a humorous situation, the film knows how to create these moments of levity, and they're a breath of fresh air in between the action-packed sequences. You'll find yourself smiling, maybe even chuckling, before diving back into the more intense parts of the movie. Then there's the tear-jerking stuff. And trust me, there are a few moments in Fire and Ash that will definitely pull at your heartstrings. The film doesn't shy away from the emotional consequences of the characters' actions, and it has some incredibly touching moments that feel like they've been years in the making. The relationships between the characters, whether it's between humans and Nausicaa, between family members, or even between unlikely allies, are so richly developed that you can't help but feel a deep emotional investment. It's not just about the action or the spectacle, it's about the personal stakes. When the characters face loss or come to terms with difficult choices, you feel every bit of that weight. It's the kind of emotional depth that makes the film linger with you long after you've left the theater. Excitement? Oh, you bet. There's no shortage of pulse-pounding action, and it's not just the explosions and grand battles that get your adrenaline going. It's the personal stakes behind them. When the characters are running from danger, facing off in epic battles, or embarking on dangerous missions, the tension is real because you're invested in their journey. You don't just want to see them succeed in the mission, you want to see them survive and come out victorious because you care about them. The action is thrilling, but it's made even more gripping by the emotional layers that accompany it. But what really stands out are the moments of shock. There are twists in the narrative that will leave you gasping for air. Moments that change the trajectory of the story in ways you didn't see coming. These shocks aren't cheap. They don't rely on the typical jump scare tactics you might expect from a lesser film. Instead, the surprises in Fire and Ash come from the choices the characters make and the dramatic consequences that follow. It's the kind of shock that makes you think, wow, I didn't expect that, and then it keeps you reflecting on it long after the scene ends. This film invites repeat viewings because there's so much to unpack. Each time you watch, you'll notice little details you missed the first time. Small moments of foreshadowing, subtle character interactions, or visual cues that hint at what's to come. And it's not just about the hidden details. The film's emotional beats will have a lasting effect, making you want to revisit the characters and their journey again, to relive those moments, to experience the highs and lows once more. It's a movie that makes you want to dive back into its world, to re-experience the emotional roller coaster, and to see things with fresh eyes. As for discussion, Fire and Ash absolutely invites it. The themes it explores, environmental destruction, colonialism, the clash of cultures, are deeply relevant to contemporary issues, and the way the film handles these topics opens up opportunities for thought-provoking conversations. You'll leave the theater thinking about the film's messages and how they relate to the real world, and that's something that lingers. It's the kind of movie that makes you want to talk about it with others, to share your interpretations, your theories, and your emotional reactions. It's a conversation starter, and it's the type of film that gets discussed long after you've left the theater. And it's not just the plot and themes that spark reflection, it's the characters, too. The choices they make, the dilemmas they face, and the emotional arcs they go through are the kinds of things that stick with you. You'll find yourself reflecting on them long after you've watched the movie, considering how you might have reacted in their shoes, or what you would have done differently. The film's exploration of identity, belonging, and responsibility hits home in a way that makes you think deeply about your own place in the world and your relationship with the environment and others. At the end of the day, Avatar, Fire and Ash isn't just a film you watch. It's a film that engages you emotionally, mentally, and even philosophically. It makes you feel, it makes you think, and it keeps you coming back for more. Whether it's the laughter, the tears, the excitement, or the shocks, the film has something for everyone. And once you've experienced it, you'll be talking about it for a long time. The emotional journey doesn't just end when the credits roll. It carries on long after you've left the theater. When comparing Avatar, Fire and Ash to other films in its genre, franchise, or even to director James Cameron's extensive filmography, you can't help but notice that this one stands out, not necessarily because it's doing something entirely new, but because it pushes the boundaries of what we expect from this universe while staying true to its roots. This film doesn't just rest on its laurels, relying on the spectacle of its predecessors. Instead, it takes the Avatar franchise to new emotional and thematic heights, offering a fresh experience that keeps fans on their toes. In terms of genre, Fire and Ash is unmistakably sci-fi, with its lush alien world, high-tech weaponry, and futuristic conflicts. But rather than just relying on mind-blowing visual effects and grand-scale action, like many other films in the genre, this one digs deep into the emotional, spiritual, and environmental aspects of the world. Sure, we've seen space battles and interplanetary conflicts before, But Fire and Ash makes you care about the outcome in a way that feels more personal, more human than you might expect. The sci-fi world building is there, of course, but it's the characters' journeys that are front and center. While you'll still get all the breathtaking visuals and high-energy action sequences you're accustomed to in this genre, the heart of the story lies in its themes of colonialism, environmental destruction, and the struggle to maintain cultural identity. When compared to other films within the Avatar franchise, this movie shifts the focus. The original Avatar introduced us to the world of Pandora, showing us its vibrant ecosystem and the conflict that arose from human greed. It was a massive visual spectacle with groundbreaking technology that wowed audiences around the world. Then came The Way of Water, which expanded the world's scope even further, exploring the oceans of Pandora and diving deeper into the personal lives of the characters. Fire and Ash feels like the natural evolution of these themes, but it doesn't simply continue the story. It asks tougher questions, digs into the emotional consequences of Pandora's ongoing struggle, and offers new characters and perspectives that broaden the universe without overshadowing the familiar ones. This isn't just about spectacle anymore. It's about legacy, responsibility, and connection. In terms of action and pacing, Fire and Ash doesn't shy away from the fast-paced, high-stakes moments that are part and parcel of this franchise. But it does something different with the action scenes. The film incorporates quieter, more intimate moments between characters in a way that builds tension and emotional payoff. So, while there are epic battle scenes that'll make you grip your seat, there are also moments of reflection that allow the audience to breathe, think, and connect with the characters on a deeper level. This pacing balance is something we haven't seen as much in the earlier films, where the emphasis was largely on grand spectacle. The way Fire and Ash weaves action with moments of introspection shows a maturation in both the narrative and in Cameron's approach to the material. Now, when we step outside the Avatar franchise and look at James Cameron's filmography as a whole, Fire and Ash takes some of the director's familiar motifs and pushes them further into new territory. Cameron has always been a master at combining cutting-edge technology with intense human drama, whether it's the battle for survival in The Terminator or the high-stakes heroism in Aliens. In this film, however, there's a deeper emphasis on the long-term consequences of technological advancement and exploitation. It's as if Cameron is coming full circle from the high-octane action of his earlier films to something more reflective. As though he's saying, we've created these incredible worlds, but have we really thought about the consequences? And it's that philosophical undercurrent that sets Fire and Ash apart from the director's previous works. In terms of pacing and tone, Fire and Ash might remind you of Titanic, not in terms of plot, but in its ability to take a massive, world-changing event and make it deeply personal. Where Titanic balanced grand historical moments with intimate character arcs, Fire and Ash blends grand sci-fi action with a deep, emotional story about survival, sacrifice, and identity. The film takes its time to develop relationships, and when it asks the audience to care about the characters' fates, it earns that emotional investment in ways that many other sci-fi films might not. When it comes to visual effects and world building, Fire and Ash takes everything the franchise is known for and cranks it up. There's a level of detail in the landscapes, creatures, and technology that makes you feel like you're stepping right into Pandora. But it's not just about the visuals. This film uses the world building to enhance the emotional stakes of the story. It's not about showcasing the beauty of Pandora for the sake of it. It's about using that beauty to show what's at risk. There's an urgency in the visuals that mirrors the characters' internal struggles. Unlike some other films that might throw stunning visuals at you just because they can, Fire and Ash uses them to serve the story, the themes, and the characters. Comparing it to other films within the broader sci-fi genre, it does feel familiar in many ways. This is a world that's been built and explored in the previous films, after all. But the difference here is the emotional payoff. It's not just about the action or the spectacle. Yes, the special effects are stunning, but they serve to tell a more intimate story about the cost of colonization, environmental destruction, and the battle for a better future. This isn't The Matrix with its dystopian visions, or Star Wars with its space operas. It's a movie that feels grounded, even when it's set on a distant planet. The connections between the characters, their world, and their actions are what make fire and ash stand out in the crowded landscape of sci-fi. In the end, Avatar, Fire and Ash offers a refreshing balance of the familiar and the new. It takes everything that's made the Avatar franchise iconic, the breathtaking visuals, the epic action, and pushes the narrative to new emotional depths. If you're a fan of Cameron's work, you'll find his signature blend of spectacle and humanity here, but with a more thoughtful and introspective tone that invites you to not just watch, but reflect. It's a movie that makes you feel like you're experiencing something important, something that isn't just a visual feast, but a call to think about the world we live in and the future we want to build. And in a world full of sci-fi films, Fire and Ash stands as a testament to the power of storytelling that goes beyond the surface. When you watch Avatar, Fire and Ash, it's not just the breathtaking visuals or the action that captures your attention. It's the way the film is layered with symbolism and metaphors that give the story deeper meaning. The world of Pandora itself, lush and vibrant, isn't just a beautiful backdrop. It's a living, breathing symbol of everything that's at stake in the story. Nature, balance, and the relationship between human beings and the environment. The planet is full of metaphors, from the towering trees to the expansive oceans, all pointing to the fragility of life and the interconnectedness of all living things. One of the most striking visual symbols in the film is the recurring motif of fire and ash. At first glance, this might seem like a straightforward reference to destruction, something that's been central to the franchise's themes. However, the use of fire and ash here runs much deeper. Fire represents not only destruction, but also transformation. Just as fire consumes everything in its path, it also clears the way for new growth. This duality plays out throughout the film, as characters struggle with their roles in the world's destruction, but also discover the potential for healing and rebirth. The ash that follows the fire serves as a reminder of the consequences of those actions, of what is left behind after the flames have burned through. In many ways, this fire and ash imagery is a metaphor for the choices the characters must make. Can they stop the destruction they've caused, or are they destined to leave a legacy of ashes? This theme of transformation and regeneration also appears in the way Pandora itself is portrayed. In previous films, we've seen Pandora's landscapes as pristine and untouched, an Eden of sorts. But now in Fire and Ash, we see the scars left behind by human exploitation. The film is full of subtle, almost haunting imagery of landscapes that are on the brink of collapse. Burnt forests, dried up rivers, and decaying wildlife. These visuals aren't just for show, they're loaded with meaning. The decaying world reflects the spiritual decay of the humans who have come to exploit it. It's a reminder of how much damage has already been done and serves as a call to action for both the characters and the audience. The land, though scarred, still holds the possibility of regeneration, much like the characters themselves. Then there's the recurring motif of water. It's not just a literal element of the environment, it's a symbol of life, connection, and renewal. Water, in this context, represents the flow of life that's in constant motion, its currents never the same, always evolving. For the characters, water becomes a metaphor for their own journeys as they navigate through their own personal struggles, relationships, and growth. The oceans of Pandora are teeming with life, just as the emotional lives of the characters are full of possibility, if they can only learn to live in harmony with the world around them. This contrast between water's life-giving properties and the fire's destructive nature mirrors the inner conflict of the film. How to balance progress with preservation, technology with tradition. The spiritual connection between the Nausicaa and the planet is another potent metaphor. In Fire and Ash, we see the Nausicaa not just as protectors of Pandora, but as symbols of what humanity could be if it could learn to live in balance with nature. Their deep connection to the land, to the creatures, and to the very heartbeat of the world around them serves as a direct contrast to the human characters, who are so often depicted as disconnected, driven by greed or survival instincts. The Nausicaa are not perfect, they have their flaws, and their world isn't without its own challenges. But their relationship with the planet stands as a powerful metaphor for a way of life that values respect, sustainability, and understanding. As the characters come into contact with the Nausicaa, they are forced to confront their own values and question the choices they've made. The theme of regeneration and rebirth is also mirrored in the characters themselves. Many of the main characters are dealing with their own internal fires, battling guilt, regret, and the search for redemption. The metaphorical ashes that they're left with after their past mistakes are heavy, but they also represent a new beginning. There's a sense of possibility in the air, a hope that they can rebuild, not just the world of Pandora, but their own lives. This theme is especially clear in the arc of the protagonist, whose journey from self-doubt to self-empowerment mirrors the film's central themes of growth and regeneration. The character's emotional transformation is symbolic of the larger societal transformation that the film calls for. It's a powerful reminder that even after everything seems lost, there's always the potential for renewal. And then there's the recurring presence of animals and creatures in the film. These aren't just exotic beasts designed to impress. They are deeply tied to the ecosystem of Pandora and act as metaphors for the delicate balance of life. They represent the interconnectedness of all living things, each one playing a crucial role in maintaining the world's harmony. When the human characters interact with these creatures, it's a reminder of the importance of respecting the world around them. These creatures serve as symbols of what's at risk, the delicate balance of life that could be lost forever if Pandora is destroyed. By the end of the film, these symbols come together in a beautiful way. The fire, the ash, the water, the animals, all of these elements work together to tell a story that is about much more than just saving Pandora. It's about saving ourselves. It's about understanding the consequences of our actions and the impact we have on the world around us. The metaphors and symbolism of Avatar, fire and ash enrich the story, giving it a depth that makes you think long after the credits roll. It's a film that doesn't just entertain. It challenges, it provokes, and it asks you to consider the world you live in and the choices you make every day. In the context of the Avatar franchise, fire and ash plays a pivotal role in further expanding the universe, while deepening the themes and relationships that have defined the series since its inception. The film doesn't just serve as another chapter in a long-running saga. It acts as a bridge between the past, present, and future of Pandora and the characters that inhabit it. This isn't just about continuing the story, it's about enriching it, bringing in fresh perspectives, and adding emotional layers that elevate the overarching narrative. Since the first Avatar film, we've seen Pandora through the eyes of Jake Sully and Neytiri, learning about the Nausica's connection to the land and the human greed that threatens it. The Way of Water built on those themes, diving deeper into the oceanic parts of Pandora, exploring new cultures, and continuing the struggle for survival. Fire and Ash doesn't just move the plot forward, it turns the lens inward, focusing on the personal evolution of key characters while also highlighting the broader environmental and societal issues that have been looming since the beginning of the series. By expanding on the consequences of human interference and the Nausica's quest to preserve their way of life, the film feels like a natural progression in the series, but one that adds real stakes to the continuing battle for Pandora's future. One of the most exciting elements of Fire and Ash is the way it deepens the focus on character development and conflict. The tension between progress and preservation, as well as the lingering trauma from past wars, plays out on both an individual and collective level. It's not just about saving the planet anymore, it's about healing, growth, and understanding. Characters who were once firmly on one side of the conflict now find themselves grappling with the complexities of their choices, both personally and within the larger context of Pandora's survival. This sense of internal conflict and transformation is one of the reasons Fire and Ash feels like such a significant contribution to the franchise. It's not merely the continuation of a story, it's a deepening of the narrative that allows both the characters and the world itself to evolve. Fire and Ash also addresses the growing tension between the humans and the Nausica's. In the earlier films, the conflict was largely defined by the Nausica's fighting against the human colonizers, who sought to exploit Pandora's resources. But in this latest installment, there's a much more nuanced approach. The line between good guys and bad guys isn't as clear-cut. Some humans in the film have begun to recognize the devastating consequences of their past actions, and they attempt to make amends. This shift in perspective adds an emotional depth that enriches the franchise, making the conflict feel less like a straightforward battle and more like a complex and evolving struggle for survival. The historical context of Avatar, Fire and Ash is also fascinating because it reflects a larger, real-world narrative about environmental destruction and the impact of human exploitation on natural resources. If we look at the series as a whole, it's clear that the Avatar franchise has always had one foot firmly planted in real-world issues, especially concerning the environment, colonialism, and the consequences of unchecked corporate greed. In Fire and Ash, these themes become even more pronounced, with the story diving deeper into the long-term effects of the previous film's events. It serves as a kind of cautionary tale, reminding the audience of the importance of preservation and the dangers of pushing nature and ecosystems to their breaking point. In a way, Fire and Ash positions itself as a meditation on the legacy of human interaction with nature. The humans in the film are grappling with the aftermath of their earlier actions, trying to right wrongs that have caused irreversible damage. The Nasics, on the other hand, serve as a metaphor for indigenous cultures that have long lived in harmony with their environments, only to be threatened by outside forces. This dynamic brings a historical depth to the film, as it reflects real-world issues like colonialism, the destruction of indigenous lands, and the fight to protect natural resources. In terms of historical accuracy, while the world of Avatar is entirely fictional, the way the film explores human impact on the environment feels remarkably relevant to our current time. The effects of climate change, deforestation, and the exploitation of natural resources are all reflected in the struggles that the characters face. In that sense, Fire and Ash acts as a mirror to our own world, asking questions about sustainability, environmental responsibility, and the cost of progress. The historical context of the Avatar series also lends itself to its broader themes of resistance and resilience. The Nasics, as an indigenous people, represent the enduring fight to preserve culture, tradition, and way of life in the face of external pressures. They are the guardians of Pandora, just as indigenous communities around the world have been the protectors of their lands for centuries. Fire and Ash continues this narrative, drawing parallels between the fictional events on Pandora and real-world struggles. The Nasics' resistance is symbolic of a much larger global conversation about the rights of indigenous peoples and the environmental challenges we face today. When considering Fire and Ash within the broader context of the Avatar franchise, it's clear that the film contributes significantly to the world-building and overarching narrative. It explores the deeper consequences of the previous films, especially focusing on the long-term effects of the humans' actions on Pandora's ecosystem and the Nasics' culture. But more than that, it expands the series' thematic focus, adding layers of complexity to the environmental, political, and cultural issues at the heart of the saga. The film moves beyond the initial humans versus Nasics narrative to explore themes of healing, reconciliation, and the possibilities for a shared future if humanity is willing to change. In doing so, Fire and Ash doesn't just contribute to the series' plot. It challenges the audience to think critically about our relationship with nature and our responsibility to protect it. The stakes have never felt higher, and yet there is a glimmer of hope that Pandora, and by extension our own world, can still be saved. The film's exploration of the past, present, and future makes it a vital chapter in the Avatar saga, ensuring that the series remains as relevant and thought-provoking as ever. When you look at Avatar, Fire and Ash, it's clear that the film wasn't skimping on any aspects of production. The budget for this movie, as with other films in the Avatar franchise, is massive, and the results are visible in every frame. From the cutting-edge visual effects to the epic, immersive world building, it's evident that a lot of money was poured into making this film a visual spectacle. The film's use of CGI practical effects and the creation of new environments on Pandora required a huge investment in technology and resources. When you see the expansive landscapes, the deep oceans, and the intricate creatures of Pandora, it's impossible not to appreciate the sheer scale of the film's production. This is a film that demanded a massive budget to deliver on the kind of cinematic experience that Avatar fans have come to expect. But what about the return on that investment? How did the film perform at the box office? Well, given the scale of the budget and the immense expectations surrounding it, Fire and Ash needed to do more than just meet financial expectations. It needed to be a major hit. The Avatar franchise has always had a built-in fan base, with the first film breaking box office records and establishing itself as one of the highest-grossing films of all time. The sequel, The Way of Water, continued that trend, so the pressure was on for Fire and Ash to live up to its predecessors. Financially speaking, Fire and Ash did not disappoint. While it might not have broken all the records set by its predecessors, it still performed incredibly well. The film pulled in hundreds of millions at the global box office, making it a major financial success. There's a certain franchise momentum that Avatar has created, where audiences are practically conditioned to expect visually stunning, emotionally engaging, and thought-provoking films. Because of that, the film didn't struggle to attract audiences, even with the fierce competition from other blockbusters. That said, the performance of Fire and Ash was not just a result of the film itself. It was heavily influenced by marketing and audience reception. The marketing campaign for Fire and Ash was a massive undertaking, tapping into the franchise's established fan base while also reaching out to new viewers. The visual teasers, promotional materials, and trailers all hinted at the expansive world of Pandora and the emotional stakes of the film, which generated excitement and anticipation. Fans of the series were eager to see how the story would evolve, and the visual effects and action-heavy sequences were designed to pull audiences back into the theater for that immersive Avatar experience. Audience reception, too, played a huge role in the film's financial success. While critical reviews were mixed, the emotional weight and breathtaking visuals were enough to attract a large and dedicated audience, including those who had been waiting for the next chapter of the Avatar saga. Word of mouth helped to keep the film's box office numbers high as more people flocked to see what was next for the Nausicaa and the human characters they had followed since the first film. The film's themes of environmentalism, redemption, and survival resonated with viewers, especially as global concerns about climate change and environmental degradation continued to dominate the news. But not everything was smooth sailing. Even with the dedicated fan base and stunning visuals, the film faced challenges in competing with other major blockbusters that were released around the same time. The increasing competition from streaming platforms and the shifting dynamics in the theater industry, where audiences were becoming more selective about which films to watch in theaters, also had an impact. Yet despite these hurdles, Fire and Ash still performed remarkably well, thanks to its status as a continuation of a beloved franchise and the sheer spectacle it offered on the big screen. Another factor that affected the film's earnings was the global appeal of the Avatar franchise. With a worldwide fan base, the film didn't just rely on North American audiences for its box office success. It tapped into international markets, especially in countries like China, where the Avatar films have historically performed extremely well. This international success helped push the film's total earnings into the stratosphere, making it another global hit for the franchise. While Fire and Ash might not have achieved the astronomical box office numbers of the original Avatar, it still managed to turn a substantial profit. The balance between the high production costs and the film's earnings is a testament to the strength of the franchise and its ability to engage audiences. It wasn't just about showing off the incredible visual effects or offering fans more of the world they loved. It was also about creating a film that would continue the conversation started by the earlier films and keep audiences coming back for more. Ultimately, Fire and Ash as box office success wasn't just about the numbers. It was about the way the film resonated with people. It tapped into the larger themes of the Avatar franchise, connection to nature, the impact of human actions, and the possibility of redemption, and brought those ideas into a new, relevant context. The box office success was the result of a combination of factors, from the dedication of the fan base to the stellar marketing efforts and the film's ability to deliver on the promise of an emotional, action-packed cinematic experience. In the end, while Fire and Ash may not have broken the same records as the original, it still proved that the Avatar franchise is a powerhouse, able to continue attracting audiences and creating massive box office returns. For fans eagerly waiting to dive back into the stunning world of Pandora, Avatar, Fire and Ash offers multiple ways to experience the adventure. If you're looking to feel the full immersive impact, the most obvious choice is to catch it on the big screen in theaters. This is where the film truly shines. The expansive landscapes of Pandora, The detailed visual effects and the depth of the world building are meant to be experienced in all their glory. Whether it's the lush jungles, the vast oceans, or the intricate Gnostics cultures, seeing the film on a massive screen with high-quality sound systems will transport you into the heart of Pandora in a way no other viewing experience can. IMAX theaters, in particular, are the way to go if you want to be completely enveloped in the visual grandeur of the film. The high-definition visuals, combined with the deep surround sound, create a cinematic experience that allows you to feel every rush of wind, every ripple of water, and every emotional beat. The filmmakers have clearly designed Fire and Ash with the intention of maximizing this immersive experience. So seeing it in IMAX or any premium format is highly recommended for the ultimate impact. For those who prefer the comfort of their own homes, Avatar, Fire and Ash will likely be available on streaming platforms after its theatrical run. While the exact platforms may vary depending on regional distribution deals, major streaming services like Disney Plus, which holds the streaming rights for the Avatar franchise, are the most likely places to host it. Once it lands on streaming, you'll be able to watch the film at your convenience, whether you're curled up on the couch or hosting a movie night with friends. When it comes to watching the film at home, you can expect the same breathtaking visuals, but the scale of the movie might not hit the same level as in theaters. However, some high-definition TVs, especially those with 4K capabilities, can still provide a decent at-home experience. Pair that with a high-quality sound system, and you'll get a strong sense of the film's atmosphere, even without the full theater setup. For those who prefer flexibility, digital rentals will also likely be an option. If you don't want to commit to a streaming service or don't have access to the movie on demand through a platform, renting the film digitally could be a solid middle ground. This way, you can still enjoy Fire and Ash on a good screen without having to leave the comfort of your home. And of course, there's the option of physical media for collectors. If you're someone who loves owning a physical copy of your favorite films, Avatar, Fire and Ash will likely be available for purchase on Blu-ray and DVD after its theatrical run and streaming release. These versions might even come with extra features like behind-the-scenes footage, commentaries, and extended scenes, giving you a deeper dive into the making of the film. Ultimately, the best way to watch Avatar, Fire and Ash depends on what kind of experience you're after. If you're after the full-on visual and emotional impact, nothing beats a trip to the theater, especially in IMAX or premium format showing. However, if you're looking for convenience and comfort, streaming and digital rentals provide the flexibility to watch it on your terms without sacrificing too much of the film's grandeur. No matter how you choose to watch it, the world of Pandora is waiting, and it's ready to take you on an unforgettable journey.